500 years ago, he washed ashore the sole survivor of a shipwreck. And upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, "I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die." The Phantom, the ghost who...
G'day, this is Expand the Phantom podcast. I am Jermaine, and today I'll be talking with several creators and fans about what is dubbed Sydnova 2023. Our website is chroniclechamber.com, and you can subscribe to our podcast via YouTube or through your favourite podcast apps. Press the thumbs up button, click the bell, you know the drill. Now, the best place to find out about all this weekend is our website via the URL, which is also in our show notes. Or you can listen and we can go from there. Now, we've got some exciting news to be able to give. We have some exclusive Chronicle Chamber stickers. Now, there's only going to be 100 of these stickers in existence. All right? So there's not many of them. Our Patreons, if you're a Patreon listener, you are going to be getting some of these. If you are coming to the event, whether it's the dinner, whether it's Supanova, contact us, chroniclechamber@gmail.com, and I will hand deliver your packet of stickers. If you are not coming to that, don't fret. I will be sending them to you via mail. Now, if you are not a Patreon, you get first dibs after the Patreons. If you would like a packet of these stickers, now on YouTube, you are seeing these at the moment. You need to give me the magic keyword. Now, the keyword is, I am a happy forkist. And I repeat, I am a happy forkist. That is the keyword to get one of these packs of stickers. However, there is only 30 of these packets that I'm going to be giving to non-Patreons. So if you're a non-Patreon, you need to give me the keyword. I am a happy forkist. Have you got that? I look forward to being told that there are many happy forkists out there at Supanova and the dinner. Okay, so first of all, let's go over the timeline for the weekend. Now there's several catch-ups, several times where fans get together. The first catch-up is Friday night, which is at the McCure Hotel, which is in the CBD, just near the Central train station. And the McCure Hotel has a little pub or a little bar area, and we will be meeting in there from around 6 to 7 p.m. for a drink and a very low-key casual catch-up. There will be probably around a dozen to 15 to 20 fans at any given time. That's where a lot of the swaps happen, and that's where the weekend really starts to kick off. Now, Sydney is Supanova. Now, there's a good 12 creators who have some form of Phantom credentials that are going to be in attendance. There's the Frew booth. There's creators from Daniel Picciotto. There's Paul Mason's making an entry. Chewie Chan. You know, there's a whole heap of them. Again, go to our website. We have a whole list of them. Again, that list of creators will also be in our show notes as well. So make sure you know what comics to bring so you can get them signed. There's trading cards. There's comics. There's prints. There's all this type of stuff that a lot of these creators and artists have done. So there's plenty of opportunities. There's sketch covers and stuff like that. So you can spend lots of money there. Now, lunch is going to be the next catch-up between fans. Now, a little bit of history. It originally started out as a Chronicle Chamber event by Joe Douglas, where we used to meet at lunchtime. Now, this weekend, or the weekend for Sydnova, we'll be meeting at the Frew booth at around 1 p.m. Now, I'll be there to help us go to the place where we're meeting. Now, some people will already be going to lunch. We're not sure what restaurant, but it's a local restaurant, and of course, it all depends on the weather. Sydney, I've experienced hot 20-odd degrees, and then I've experienced cold, rainy, blustery, freezing weather in the low teens. So it depends on the weather of where we'll be going. But about 1 o'clock, I'll be meeting at the Frew booth. If you want to meet me there, we'll go over to where everyone else is going to be. Now, that's 1 o'clock at the Frew booth. Now, Saturday night is the big event. That's the main event of why most people go. Now, it is the Lee Falk Memorial Benguela Explorers Club dinner. It is to celebrate the legacy that Lee Falk has left us. It is a fancy dinner, a fine dining dinner, and there's auctions, and there's going to be a presentation. This year, it will be done by Alex Tripp. Past, we've had fandom creators like Cy Barry, Daniel Picciotto was last year. We've had Paul Mason, Andrew Constant, Paul Ryan, Alex Suviak, Terry Beattie, and Jeff Weigel, and a whole heap of others. Now, this event is invite only. Now, I have to stress, you can't just rock up. It is invite only. Now, if you want to get on the list of that and find out more, go to their website, www.lfmbec.org. lfmbec.org. All of these URLs, as I discuss them, will be up on the screen if you're on YouTube, if you're on our website, or if you're listening to it while you're driving. Check the show notes or go to our website. I've got all this information. We've got all this information on our website. Now, Sunday is going to be Supanova again. Now, there will still be fans going there. I'll be going there, and there's plenty of others that will still be going. Sundays usually when a lot of fans will be heading back home, and because people have to work and stuff like that. So if you can only make it out on Sunday, there's still going to be fans there to catch up. Now, we hear there may be a Phantom themed panel. We don't have confirmation on that yet. By the time this comes out, hopefully we do have confirmation, and we will post all that information on our socials and also on our website. So again, check our website. Now, if you are attending and you want to find out more, please email us at chroniclechamber@gmail.com. That's our email, chroniclechamber@gmail.com. There is a Facebook Messenger group for the people that attend Supanova. So if you are wanting to be involved with that, let us know. Write all that in your email. Again, if you're coming, and then we can include that. So then that way you'll be made aware of the chat and everything like that as well. Now, for those who can't come, now there's plenty of people that are listening to this who are not going to be able to come. I understand that. We will be having a website. We'll be having a podcast review. This is the podcast preview. We'll be having a podcast review with some panel discussions if they happen, some creator snippets. We will be going around talking to fans and asking questions. There's going to be, if you follow us on our Facebook, we will be doing some live crosses and stuff like that. So again, social media, follow us on our social media. If you can't come, we'll be doing a podcast review as well, likely the week after. So make sure you follow us and make sure you follow us. Now, enough of me talking. Let us hear from some of the creators that will be at Sydney Supanova. Now, like I said before, there's about 12 of them. I've not been able to get a hold of a lot of them, but I've managed to get a hold of around half a dozen creators who are going to talk about what they're going to have available for signatures, for commissions, for prints, for original artwork to purchase. And then they also talk a little bit about themselves. So make sure you listen. If you are going, hit up the creators, tell them what you like, tell them that you love their work, get your comics. If you haven't got all these comics, I'm sure Frew will have them where you can buy them, but it's better to get your own because you're going to be able to save a little bit of money. All right, so let's go and listen to some of these amazing creators that will be at Supanova. G'day, I am here with Lauren. How are you, Lauren?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Now, for those who have come in late, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you have done with the Phantom so far?
Yeah, so obviously name's Lauren. I am a illustrator, freelance here and there in the comic industry. I've recently joined the Phantom family. I've done 2 covers so far, which we're awesome to do, but hopefully we'll continue on with the journey.
No worries. And you've also done the folio print from last year as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. No worries. So now, before you joined the Phantom family, I love that saying, with for PH, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever have a personal history with the Phantom? Did you ever read it? Were you aware of it beforehand?
Oh, yeah, I definitely were aware of it. I wasn't personally aware of it, but my uncle was obsessed. Like, he had like Phantom Hawaiian shirts. He had like a big like model head that he kept in, and I just knew that from when I was a child. So I knew obviously Phantom had been around for a while. But yeah, it's just actually really cool to see that coming to fruition, something that I saw in my childhood so much, and being able to work on it now.
Oh, awesome. And I hope it's not a touchy subject, but what does your uncle think about you drawing covers now for his
Oh, he loves
obsession?
it. Yeah, the whole family is just like very keen on picking up the copies of whatever I do, and they're like loving seeing being a part of the Phantom, and yeah, that he's well chuffed.
No, that's awesome. It's one thing that I've noticed in talking to a lot of fans is there tends to be a real generational passing down of the love and of the Phantom, which goes with the whole legacy of the Phantom as well. So it's I love hearing stories about how, you know, past generations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, for those who don't know, you live in God's country, aka Perth, over here in WA.
Yep, they sure do.
Now, the reason why we got you on is because you're coming to Sydney, and
I am.
and you've got your own booth as well. That's correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Now, from what I understand, you're coming across with your family, which includes a 9-month baby. Is that right?
Yeah, am I crazy? I'm not too sure yet. I guess I'll find out when we get on the plane.
Yeah, so that will be interesting. So for those fans, obviously you've got the two covers that you've done. I'm assuming you'll be available for signatures on those. And are you accepting commissions as well?
I sure am. So just doing black and white commissions. So if anyone's interested, just hit me up and I will let you know.
No worries. Now, I do believe there, if I can just move my chair a little bit, if you're on YouTube where my thumb is, that is one of your commissions down there. And I believe you've had another couple sketch covers as well.
Yeah, which was so much fun. It's tricky to work with the covers, but they're always a pleasure.
No worries. Do you have any will you have any pre sketch covers or anything like that for people to purchase, or
no, traveling lightly, unfortunately. So we'll just be bringing a small range of goodies, but yeah, I'll make sure that there is some Phantom goodies there for people, 100%.
Awesome, Phantom goodies. I'll be intrigued in hearing about that as well. So you'll have your own booth. Will you be visiting the Frew booth by any chance?
100%, yeah. So I'll be helping those guys out for a few moments over the weekend. So definitely pop in and say hello to everyone.
So your partner will be manning the booth and looking after the baby while you're geeking out with all the fans.
I mean, I'm definitely setting up a challenge, aren't I?
Oh mate, I have to meet him. He deserves Dad of the Year material.
The Superstar Award, yeah.
I reckon. Well, I look forward to catching up again in Sydney. You'll also be in Perth as well the week after, I'm assuming, for those who won't be able to make it over there that live over here. I'm thinking of Callum and Daniel, for example, and probably a couple of others. Awesome.
Yep.
So, fans, we'll have to get you on at a later date, Lauren, and explore a little bit more about yourself as an artist and stuff like that. But just wanted to kind of get you on, introduce you to the Phantom community wider, and fans, get out there, get some signatures, and the other goodies that she's has hidden that she will be releasing as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing everyone in Sydney.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and
No problem.
happy phantoming.
Thanks. Bye.
G'day. I am here with Shane Foley. How are you, sir?
G'day, Jermaine. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I'm
Thank you for asking. That's awesome. Now, for those who have come in late, can you tell us a little bit in a minute or two what you have done with the Phantom?
Well, since 2016, I've been doing, first of all, covers, and now it's mainly stories. And at last count, about 400 pages published by Frew of Phantom and Frew characters. So, been pretty busy for the last, 5, 6, 7 years, 6 years.
Yeah, wow. So, and I'm not sure. So you said you got 400 pages. Do you reckon you've got about another 200, 300 that are left that are still unpublished?
The 400 count is the ones that are published. I know I've got another 100 or so in the pipeline, stories approved and waiting to go. That's at the moment. So, no.
Wow, so you are a busy man. Now, again, in about a minute or two, do you want to tell us a little bit, and this is for those who have come in late, who haven't listened to some of the past podcasts we've had with you and everything like that, do you want to tell us a little bit about your past history and your personal history with the Phantom as a fan?
Sure. Well, the Phantom, like I've been a comic book lover all my life, and I have to say that works like Jack Kirby and the 60s Marvel stuff was often my bread and butter. But it all started with finding the Phantom when I was a kid. And I've always enjoyed it and liked him, and like some, you come and you go and you read some and then you stop for a while. But I really got hooked again when Jim Shepard started all the complete reprints. I'd never heard of the Phantom Goes to War, didn't know it existed, and then got it and the first ever 1000th issue, followed by the second 1000th issue, and was really quite interested in all those. And as I've started being asked to write and draw a few Phantom stories, I've got interested in pretty well the whole thing. I love a lot of what the European guys do. There's a lot of the later Cy Barry work, which I was never over. I mean, I never read it much before, but there's quite a few gems in there, and it's interesting. And at the moment, I'm enjoying working with some of those characters that I didn't use before, or that haven't been used much. So yeah, I really grew up while reading the Phantom, the 19 Jack Kirby Fantastic Four, Jack Kirby's New Gods, Roy Thomas, John Buscema on Conan the Barbarian, and I love things like Hellboy and stuff like that. Is that the sort of past you wanted? And I've always been drawing, making up my own.
Awesome. And we've had several podcasts with you on before. There was one, maybe beginning of the year, I believe it was, where we actually talked about you in the Frew Sandbox, which was episode 247, which was released on April. So yeah. If you missed that one, I think that is definitely a good one to listen to and refresh your memory, because a lot of the stuff that we talk about, your love of the Phantom, your love of past characters and stuff like that, we talk about in there as well. So that's definitely. So we've got you on because we believe that you will be at the Frew booth at Sydney this year. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll be there for some of the time. Evidently, there's going to be quite a few artists and writers there this year, so I'm one of them. Yep.
No worries. Now, I believe you were telling me that you will be at another booth or table this year as well. Do you want to tell us quickly about that one as well?
Yeah, for those who know the Australian creation, Dark Nebula by Tad Padzikowski, he's I can never say his name right. Tad P, he's got a booth there as well. So when I'm not at Frew, I'll go over and sit there with him. And there's some new material of Dark Nebula out. Part one of a 3-part story teaming Dark Nebula and the Southern Squadron. Part one has been published. I've drawn part two. It's not published yet, as far as I know. And I haven't had time yet to do part three. But the new material is coming out, and they've got quite a few different versions by different artists and that coming out. And so he'll be at his booth, and I'll go and join him for a while there.
Awesome. So at the Frew booth, I'm assuming you will be doing signatures. And will you be available for some commissions and other signatures from fans?
Yeah, I found I'll bring along a few of the blank sketch covers, and I've got a couple that are completed. Not many. They'll be for sale. I'll probably do a few quick ones if people want that, or sign posters and that. I do have I haven't done a cover for a while, but there is one that's been completed, and I'm not sure if it'll be up before Supanova or not. It'll be pretty close to it. But yeah, I'll be available to chat and sign things, certainly.
No worries. Now, I have seen a couple of original pieces of artwork from you purchased by some fans. Will you be having any original artwork from any of your pages from Scorpius and Planet Man or anything like that available for purchase?
I haven't thought about that really.
I'll put you on the spot. Sorry about that.
I wasn't going to be bringing any. I don't think there is the one piece I'm putting up for the auction at the dinner.
Awesome.
That's last year's folio piece.
Is there any chance of a sneak peek of that for those who are watching?
If you just hang 1 second.
Awesome. Sorry about this, Shane. I have put you on the spot for a couple of those.
Right. You can edit a bit of that out if you want. This piece here, for those who know the poster. All right.
So that's of the first Phantom collage.
The first Phantom, yeah, that's it there. So there's the original art. That's going up for auction at the dinner. I actually did that in 2020. That's the one that was delayed because of COVID. It only came out last year, but it was put off for 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So for those who are listening to audio only, it's a collage of different scenes from the first Phantom's adventure. So there's the swearing of the oath, there's the shipwreck and some fight scenes and stuff like that as well. If you haven't seen what the print looks like, it was the folio set that was released last year. So, no, thank you for showing that. I probably shouldn't have shown that because I actually like the look of that. So I should have probably tried to keep it under wraps a little bit to lower the price, but we are raising funds. So if there's anyone out there that wants to help raise some funds, it's probably a bit of an invitation to get into a bit of a bidding war.
I don't mind if it goes from cool million.
I
won't see any of it. So
I'll be well and truly out of the running if when it gets up even half that. Awesome. So will you be coming to the Lee Falk Memorial Bengala Explorers Club dinner this year as well?
Definitely. Yeah, I've come. I've missed it. I think 3 years ago might have been the last time I was there. 2019 or something, I think.
It all gets a little bit confusing
once
with COVID and all those years kind of merge into one.
COVID was 2020. I think at 19 was probably the last time I was there, so it's 4 years ago. So yes, I'll be there. It'd be nice to meet up with the fans and people whose names you see all the time but don't meet in person very often. It'll be good fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
And everybody else is up for auction.
Yeah. Have you ever bid on anything at any of the auctions?
Oh yeah, but pretty low bids. I've never got anything.
Awesome. So just to kind of recap, you'll be at the Frew booth. You will be ducking over and sharing your time with Tad P's booth as well. You will be having some pre-sketch covers done. You'll be available for some other commissions and sketch covers, and there will be plenty of signatures and stuff like that. And then, of course, you've donated something amazing to the dinner as well. So as we finish up, I don't want to take up too much of your time. What do you like about these events? Is it catching up with the fans, or what makes these events special to you?
Yeah, mostly. You always seem to find out more or get. I have pretty good email contact and all that sort of stuff with a lot of people. But then when you're actually just hanging around together, you find out stuff you wouldn't know otherwise, and also just to yak with people about other stuff. It's really good fun. Yeah, I have no desire other than that. Well, I have another reason to go to Sydney this year, but I usually keep away from the big cities. But for this sort of thing, it's worth it. Yeah, very much.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today, Shane. I know you are in the middle of a big a couple of days doing some amazing work on an upcoming story, so I don't want to keep you for too long. So thank you for your time. Look forward to catching up with you, and until next time, happy phantoming.
Thanks heaps. You too.
G'day, I am here with fan favourite Jamie Johnson. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, Jam. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. I know we have a bit of a joke, but very good, very good, very good.
Nah, mate, that's old school. We're good. We've grown up, much more mature now. Mate, I was thinking about it the other day. It keeps coming up in my memories. Literally, I think you were the first person to ever interview me, like in anything. And I remember I'd hired a table in Artist Alley. I wasn't a guest. It wasn't anything. And I had like maybe 2 comics and like maybe 5 prints or something. And I was signing some stuff for you, and you just had either your phone or a dictaphone out.
Yeah, just the phone.
But it's such a good photo because it was someone, I don't know who took it, but it was really candid. And it's one of my favorite memories. It's literally the first time we met.
Yes. Yeah, no, look, we were probably all a little bit skinnier then and a little bit more hair or darker. And
Yeah. Pre-30s.
No.
Pre-30s. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So for those who have come in late, can you tell us a little bit about your history with the Phantom?
Sure. So, look, I can't remember when I got my first Phantom comic, but it was kind of a cheat because Glenn Ford, who everyone will be very familiar with, is my godfather. And during the late 80s and early 90s, he had like a chain of comic stores. And I used to see him like once a year, and he used to be like, what are you into? And I'm like, oh, like, it was Ninja Turtles or Batman or X-Men or just depending on what was kind of, hyped at the time. And he used to bring like, back, when we used to get trading cards, and I used to get like boxes of trading cards and like stacks of comics, and like all my Ninja Turtle posters were like the hardcore Eastman and Laird, really like gritty ones. And I was like, cool. And one year he didn't ask me, he just kind of showed up. And he showed up with just a stack of Phantom comics. And I knew he had like drawn Phantom. I didn't realize he did the covers. So the one thing I love to do was always search for his signature in the, he always hit it.
Oh, that was great. It was like a Where's Wally for the Phantom.
Yeah.
Me and my friends used to have competitions. So I unfold it and kind of go, all right, on your mask, get set, go. And then we'll try
and like his style was always like really, like, because I used to get him to draw for me. Like he didn't know I was really insular with my drawing. I never really shared it with anyone because I think when you're kind of developing as an artist, you can be quite sensitive, right? You don't want, there's a lot of rejection and you're putting yourself out there and people will love it or they'll hate it. Now it just comes with the territory, you just let it water off your back. But back then I was like, oh, just very solitary pursuit. But I used to get him to come and sketch for me every birthday. And I used to watch him draw I still have the Phantom drawings to this day, but how quickly he used to just like turn a blank page into this amazing masterpiece. And I used to try and emulate it, and I couldn't do it because his style is very different to mine. But it also got me thinking about like, how you do it, like the strokes that he used and the control and things like that. And it's like almost like a muscle memory. And so, like I said, he never kind of knew, that I could draw or liked to draw. So fast forward, this was like when I was maybe 12. So I think the Phantom movie possibly had just come out. So it kind of everything hit at the right time. So it was just like perfect storm. Used to go to like Granny Mae's and all the different stores, What's New, and get all the Scanson, like, Phantom mugs and the T-shirts and the boxer shorts. And I was just obsessed. I used to mow lawns and babysit and do all these things. In my pocket money, I used to go and buy Phantom stuff. It was just like an obsession. Which, I mean, you guys can all relate to, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, that was the cool kind of intro to it. But fast forward years later, I never really knew I could make it a job, right? I never knew like an illustrator was a thing you could do. I thought it was like a hobby and maybe sometimes you could make some income and whatever. But I did like a small business course and got like a government grant. And it was kind of like, I guess, they didn't know how to pigeonhole us. So they kind of were pigeonholing me as like a graphic designer, but it was definitely for illustration. And so I just had like a list of things that I wanted to achieve, like storyboarding. I knew was like a very, steady thing, but I said, I just want to illustrate one Phantom cover. That was it. Like, I just wanted to tick it off the list and just say, I've got something published. And so I actually had met with Jim Shepherd because I worked in the city actually on Pitt Street and they were on Castlereagh Street at the time. And I remember just having these like meetings with him. It wasn't really about anything. It wasn't like I brought my portfolio in once, but then we'd just talk about our favorite artists and storylines and just kind of, subtle differences between like, Cy Barry and like Thelmang and the different, it was just really cool, just nerding out essentially. And then eventually he gave me the assignment for, I think it was 1629 or something, for Save Jerusalem, which, I mean, we've seen, it's not great. I apologize. There was no like guidance. I drew it on an 11x17, just comic artboard, but I didn't know all the specs. I drew it small on the page, so it was no point doing it. It looks so amateur. It's hilarious. But I had no freedom with that one. He basically said, just recreate these panels and give us a general color guide and we'll take care of that. And I'm like, okay, well, it's got my name on it. It's not really my thing, but it is, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, I mean, it was cool. I wanted a Phantom cover. I got it. And I kind of just did it and forgot about it, right? And then I think it was like 3 years later, when I think Glenn and Renee, they hadn't taken over yet, but they were doing the Phantoms Vault stuff, and they were working with Hermes Press for the Aussie variants. And because I'd done one cover, they wanted published Aussie artists, and I happened to get, I think it was issue 4 for Hermes Press, which actually was a pretty full circle moment, because Glenn colored it for me. So my first technically international, I know it was the Aussie variants, but for Hermes Press, was with Glenn, who was my dad's best mate, who I'm sure by now you guys know my dad passed away when I was younger. And it came out on my dad's birthday, which is the day before mine. So it was a really nice full circle moment. And that kind of spiraled from there. So from doing that cover and then just a bit of momentum, I think it was like 2 or 3 covers a year, pretty consistently up until recently. I've stopped doing them, but I think I hit 20 covers, and I think I'm kind of done. That's including the jams and the jam covers, the international covers, Lightning Strike, and just the regular Frew.
Yeah, wow. And of course, I could see behind you, for those who are listening to this or watching this on YouTube, you've got one of your covers cut out there.
Yeah. When you find me at a convention, if it's a local one, I've got I go all out, double table, and I'll have Phantom, Killaroo, and Ninja Turtles. So it's kind of something for everyone, but it's just, I never saw that. I used to go to conventions and things when I was younger, and there was never Phantom stuff. So it's just like a little gimmick just to have a little, I know that guy.
Yeah. And look, I remember the first the first ever Sydney convention I went to, Nigel Johnson had his store.
Okay.
But then after that, for the next 5 years, until I think Paul Ryan came visiting, there was no Phantom. You couldn't find back issues, you couldn't find, Frew weren't there, there was no artists. And so now, you fast forward to now, which is, I think I've been doing this for about 15 years now.
Wow.
I think there's about a dozen Phantom creators that will be at the Sydney convention this year.
That's awesome. I mean, look, credit to Glenn and Frew. They've really done that, and they've made every effort. And look, if you think about it, it's a big venture. It's not, Phantom's not the same level as, say, a Marvel or a DC, but it has a very loyal following. But it costs a lot to go to these conventions and get these big booths. But I mean, for you guys that come here for from around Australia, you're literally the furthest you could be. You're in Western Australia. To come over, that makes it more worthwhile to actually be able to not just see them kind of drawing, but having a beer with them after the show and actually interacting and hanging out. And look, by now, everyone's old friends. That's the one great thing about the Phantom community. I haven't drawn Phantom in at least a year. And every show I go to, I still chat Phantom with people because, look, I did it for 10 plus years, and illustrated board game, coloring books, trading cards, all the rest of it, and the covers and countless commissions and whatnot. And while I'm not actively working on the character, it's something they'll always kind of carry and cherish, I guess, my time on it, because it's I've got lifelong friends from it,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the beauty about going to Sydney and some of these conventions. We've got the dinner on as well, and all that is you get to catch up with mates. You and I are lucky we can talk, we can do Skype and Zoom and stuff like that. But for a lot of people, this is their Mecca moment. This is the one time when You know,
Yeah.
they don't have the wife, they don't have the kids. They're
They can actually talk fandom without someone going, "Shut up with fandom already."
yeah, that's it. All the wives are like, well, at least he's socializing for at least one weekend of the year.
Yeah, well, at least they know you're behaving. We're like the most tame fandom I think there is out there. You know,
Yeah,
the fandom's
that's
famous
because,
for getting on the milks. You know, it's not really that hardcore.
yeah, that's because we're all old.
Good for your bones.
Yeah. So you will have your own booth at Sydney this year, correct?
Yeah, so I'll be a guest of the show. So I'll be in Artist Alley with I think like Pitchy and Camillo and a few others. I don't know what other Phantom creators. Yeah, I'm not sure who's going in the booth and who's a guest this year, but I'll be in I think it's in a separate pavilion to Frew. But
Okay, so they're doing the two pavilions again this year.
I think that's the general layout for Sydney.
That was pre-COVID, I think they did that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Look, don't quote me. I haven't seen the floor plan yet, but that's how I understand space-wise that they curated. Because in Melbourne they did similar, where we were in a top pavilion, and then the main hall was a separate pavilion as well.
No worries. And so you'll be available for commissions of the Phantom, but also other characters and signatures and stuff like that as well. And you'll have probably some prints and stuff.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, prints not so much. I might make one special one for this Supanova, but obviously I think it's a bit of a grey area with the print stuff. But I'll have my back issues. I might throw some remarks on there and stuff for people that like the kind of special collections. I do have a few pre-drawn sketches as well, but if people want to bring their sketchbook, or if they've got a Phantom cover that they want me to sign up, I hate when people charge for signatures. So if you got the comic, bring it by. I'll throw a scribble on there for you, and we'll chat Phantom and take it from there for sure.
Definitely, that sounds good. So before, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're a busy man. You early this year, I think it was this year, you were traveling overseas for some conventions. What was that like?
It was awesome. It was my first international show, actually. It was Dublin Comic Con in Ireland, which was incredible. So, like I said earlier, I got engaged on that trip.
Congratulations. And
thank you very much. But I knew, we knew we were kind of going over, so I thought I'd try and make the most of it. And funny enough, the connection with Owen from Lightning Strike, yes. He was affiliated. Yeah, so he was affiliated. Pulse College was affiliated with the show. Alex Sinclair, who's a previous guest of Supanova, put me in touch and didn't even realize it was Owen. So it was very fortuitous circumstances. They were very, very, very kind. Put us up in a hotel for a few days, which was always nice on a holiday. You take the load off a little bit. But no, it was really good. It's so weird how small social media makes the world. I've had people on there showing up saying, "Oh, I followed you for years." I'm like, "Oh, okay," thinking they're just being nice. And I'm like, "Oh, what's your handle?" And it was, whatever their handle was. I'm like, "Oh my God, I see them all the time." I'm like, "Am I following you?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, follow back." Oh my God, that's so it's so touching when people actually, they walk the walk. A lot of people can talk the talk, but it's really humbling to see people from somewhere I've never been before come out and show up and I mean, support the art and just be, excited about the work you do. I think Aussies especially, we have a kind of, I don't know if it's inferiority complex. I wouldn't say that, but I think we just kind of play it down a little bit. It's almost the opposite of tall poppy. We just kind of, oh yeah, and
it's almost the opposite to Americans.
Yeah, I just look going overseas. I didn't know what to expect. I could have been sitting at a table just quiet the whole weekend, but it was actually smashed. I did prints specifically for the show, and they sold out, and it was just awesome. It was such a nice, almost validation, I guess. I've been doing it for over 10 years now, so it was nice to kind of step outside my comfort zone a bit like that and chat Phantom. There's a lot of Phantom fans over there, man. It was really cool just to hear. First of all, people talking about it in their accent.
No, that is awesome. That's very exciting indeed. Have you got any other conventions overseas or around Australia for the rest of the year?
No, I was meant to do one in September in the States, but that got canned. But I'm looking to do that one next year. It's for a Ninja Turtle pretty Ninja Turtle heavy convention. I'm going to be a guest at MetroCon, which is a new Metro Comic Con in Melbourne in July, which hasn't been announced yet, but it'll be announced momentarily, I think tomorrow. So by the time this comes out, it should be announced. So that should be a really good, very art heavy curated kind of show, which is really cool. So anyone in the Melbourne area, because I know Supanova and Oz Comic Con, there can be an oversaturation by trying to do a lot of different stuff, and they're doing like a drink and draw with the artists and stuff, so you can actually go off site after hours, have a beer, and actually win some art and cool little things like that. So yeah.
Oh no, that sounds good. So like I said before, you're a very popular fan favorite, but you also do other characters as well. Like you said, you've done a lot of Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. Lastly, before we go, I'd just like to know, why do you like conventions? Why do you think they're important?
Look, like I said, I didn't think this could be a job. When we're doing it, we're creating it in a vacuum. And I mean, not so much now. Social media gives you pretty immediate feedback, but it's a chance to actually talk face to face. Like even us talking now is not the same as shaking a hand and actually interacting and, the body language and that sort of stuff. So it's really cool to feel the excitement. And look, it's like I said, it's such a niche thing. Like I do Phantom and Turtles, and that's kind of my lane. And there's people that do like Batman and Superman, that's their lane. And you see the people that make a beeline because that's their thing, and you really connect on that, and you feel that passion. And that's why I got into it, because really everything that I'm drawing are the things I grew up loving. So I haven't drawn Batman professionally yet, but I draw him all the time. But the fact I get to draw Phantom and Ninja Turtles and get paid to do it is ridiculous. So I think it's important for us to be able to thank you guys for supporting us and also just geeking out. Like it's just, especially post-pandemic when we're all locked down, it's just nice to be able to see people again,
Yeah. For some of us introverts, we kind of enjoyed lockdown.
Oh no. Don't get me wrong. When it happened, all of us artists, so we were chatting amongst ourselves and we were like, welcome to our world. We're literally indoors, deadlines at our table by ourselves. And everyone's just like joining us in our little solitude for a while,
Yeah, definitely.
But no, it is nice to reconnect with people and like I said, just kind of thank them for the support and just generally the shared geekdom I think we have,
Yeah, definitely. Well, I look forward to geeking out with you and nerding out and talking all things Phantom by the time this comes out in a couple of weeks' time or a week or so time. Thank you for your time. Jamie, I look forward to catching up, and from myself, happy Phantoming.
Happy Phantoming, mate. I'll see you soon.
G'day, I am here with Matt Kyme. How are you, mate?
I'm really well, thank you. And as you can tell, it's Melbourne, and I'm all rugged up because it's freezing.
It's all right. If you wait 5 minutes, it will be hot and you have to take your jumper off.
Yeah.
Now, for those who have come in late, can you tell us in like 1 minute what you have done with the Phantom?
Yeah, well, certainly. Well, first of all, I've devoted my life to him as a fan, and that's no exaggeration. Since I've been 8 years old, I've been a Phantom fanatic. But I've been really lucky, I guess, in the last few years to have some of my own Phantom stories published. I've had 4 published so far, so people might know my work. There was a Ray Moore sort of inspired one, A Day at the Races, and then there was Diana and the Heartbreakers Gang, and then there was the issue of Heloise, and the last one that was published was Manhunt, and there's a 5th one which is on its way, but that's kind of taking a long time, so I'm not sure when you can expect that, but that's number 5 is on its way eventually.
Now, the reason why we've got you on and we've got all these other creators and fans is that we have Sydney Supanova or Sydnova coming up, and I believe you will be having your own booth. Is that correct?
Yeah, I will. Well, not a booth so much, a table.
A table.
Yeah, I'll be a guest there. I can't wait. It'll be my second time there in 2 years. And there's so much Phantom content. They might want to think about renaming the thing because it's sort of becoming a bit of Phantom Con.
Yeah. Now That will be awesome. We've got the video game coming out. If we can just get a TV show or a
Yeah.
movie, and they might have to do that.
TV series, yeah.
Yeah. No, I reckon that could be a very good idea. Now, at your booth, you talked about you in the middle of creating a story. Will you have any previews for people to be able to look at this upcoming story by any chance?
Yeah, one thing that you just mentioned a moment ago is the video game. So I'm the head writer on the video game, so I'll be able to talk to people that come up to the table about that, and I'll be able to show them a few images and things like that. I don't really have much to show for the new story. At least I want to sort of keep that a bit under wraps until more's being completed on it. I have already posted some images up on Instagram, and I'm more than happy to talk about the story, but I don't think I'll have much to show for it. But I'll be more than happy to talk about the story. I'll be more than happy to talk about the video game. I'll be spending some time at the Frew table as well, which is a nice thing. That's the first time I'll do that. I've got a folio piece in their new folio. So, yeah, I'll be very happy to see who else is at the table at that time. I'm not sure when. I have to organise that with them a bit closer to the date, but I'll be with them for a little while.
I hear that Renee has his ball and chain to make sure you are all chained up and signing comics and signing folios. So
yeah. I'll be in good company.
I'm sure you will know when that is happening. Now, at your own table, I'm assuming that you have some other Phantom-related prints and signed comics.
Yeah.
Covers
so,
and...
Yeah, people that follow me on my Instagram, Kyme Comics, you'll see that I regularly have sketch covers. I've been experimenting a bit with lino printing over the last couple of years, so I've been lino printing directly onto sketch cover comics, but also lino printing onto A3 paper. I've actually just in the last couple of days been experimenting with some etching, so I might be bringing some of those up as well. You can have a look at my socials for that, or my one social, my Instagram. Another thing which I haven't mentioned yet is I'll be doing a panel with 3 other amazing Phantom creators. So Daniel Picciotto, who is, amazing. Those of you that went to the dinner last year, he's an amazing artist, an amazing man as well, amazing speaker, that's for sure. Jamie Johnson, who everyone knows, super famous, and Alex Tripp, who is, another superstar. So I'll be surrounded by these megastars, these fantastic artists. So that'll be a panel very much about the Phantom, obviously.
Awesome. That will be very exciting. So we'll have a recording of that for our post Supanova review, I guess we'll call it. So we'll have a review of that as well as some of the other stuff, including some of the stuff that happens at the dinner. Now, at the dinner, we talked, obviously we have talked about this before. I think we had you on a podcast where you made mention of it as well, including your upcoming story as well. And there's even an article on the website, chroniclechamber.com as well, for those who want to find out more about that. But for those who haven't listened to that last podcast, last year was your first LFMBEC dinner, I believe.
Yeah, and I was thrilled. I was really amazed. I was very, very pleased to be put on the list, and on the way there, I was thinking, don't overdo it, because I'm sort of used to being, like the person in the room that knows the most about the Phantom wherever I go. Like whether it's at my staff or wherever I go, I don't want to come on too strong. And then I found myself in a room where I was just blown away at the devotion that everyone in the room, not just the husbands, but the wives and girlfriends, the kids.
You're in a room full of nuffies.
Yeah. I was impressed with people's knowledge, their knowledge of the Phantom, their knowledge of the history of the publishing of the Phantom, I don't even know where to start. Just every facet of the Phantom, everyone I spoke to that night, they knew their stuff. And, I felt, I felt for the first time ever, like I was like an amateur, like a novice. You know?
You felt like you're amongst family who knew exactly what you knew.
And you know, that's a good point too. And I've said this before. Like I felt like, wow, like these are my people. These are people that love what I love, and there's no judgments. You know, no one's sort of like there were no snobs. I didn't meet a single snob there that thought they knew everything about the Phantom, and you know, no one was uppity. It was just like this real shared, beautiful sort of community with people who were just like pleased to meet other people who were into it. And you know, I was getting a lot of praise for the work that I'd done, but you know, there wasn't any sort of imbalance of power or anything. It was just like people really enthusiastic about everything Phantom, whether they were Phantom creators, whether they were fans. You know, there were people there who'd been reading the Phantom for a very long time. You know, and it was thrilling to talk to them. And if you got stuck in conversation, which didn't really happen, I don't think, to anyone, the common thread, you know, was the Phantom. So you just talk about, when did you start reading the Phantom? Why do you like the Phantom? What are some of your most memorable stories? Who is your favorite artist? Etc. etc. It was so easy.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, and that's why we've talked about it. You know, some have called it their Mecca weekend, their religious retreat for the year.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of people, it is that. So
like a footy trip. I know for a lot of people, it's like a footy trip, although they save up because they want to participate in the auction as well. You know, for two reasons. You know, raising money for the charity, for the hospital, absolutely fantastic. But also, people want to add to their collections. One other thing about it is I was really pleased that I was there with my friend Kieran, because I think it was his first one as well. So we kind of went in together, like we literally went in together because we're mates. And, you know, his experience was just like mine. He found himself surrounded by really fascinating people. And I might just use this as a little segue with Kieran. He'll be happy that I mentioned this. He's got his Kickstarter at the moment. I know strictly it's not a Phantom thing, but anyone that's interested in it, there's been a podcast about it, or there's at least been a post about it on the Chronicle Chamber. It's a fantastic project that Kieran's working on, The Wrath of the Cursed Legacy. It's based on a story that I wrote a while ago, a series I had called Wrath of the Cursed. My friend Kieran Jack, who many of you hopefully will know, he's continuing that story. So you can find him on Instagram, find it on Kickstarter. It's The Wrath of the Cursed. Sorry for that shameless plug there.
No, that's all right. So have you donated anything for the auctions this year?
Yeah, I've actually put in a few pieces. I've put in 2 original pages from A Day at the Races, and I've put in a lino print as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure all the money raised goes to a great cause. So ahead of time, thank you for that amazing donation. Thank you for your time. I did tell you that this was only going to be 5-10 minutes. I know you probably didn't believe me, but appreciate your time. I look forward to catching up. I look forward to seeing your sketch covers and your prints and other signatures and stuff like that, which we can all purchase from you, and seeing you chained to the desk at Frew, working very, very hard. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Matt, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
You know, I am here with Jeremy MacPherson. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. Nice to be here with you, Jermaine.
Thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure catching up with you. I feel like we've got a close thing because maybe that's because I've been called Jeremy half my life, and someone looks at my name as well. And I feel like we've got the same love for the old French and Italian artwork as well. So always enjoy catching up with you.
Yeah, no, same with me, yeah.
So for those who have come in late, not everyone on this podcast will know every creator that we've talked to. So I've asked this question with everyone. So for those who have come in late, can you tell us a little bit about your history with the Phantom as a fan, but also what you have done as a creator as well?
No, certainly. So I've been a fan for many years, probably back to the 90s, the Frew editions then. That was a real golden age, I think. Well,
yeah,
I think a lot of people really enjoyed those sort of years. I'm sure you did as well.
Yeah,
But
it shows your age when you say I've been doing it for a number of years, and like, I
mhm,
don't want to actually tell you how long because it does show your age.
mhm. No, I think there were some really good issues back then and continuing to this day. But I think probably end of 2013, I became involved with doing some of the covers. And since then, I've done some interior stories. I've done a diary. I've done calendar. I've done comics review. I've done, a few things along those lines, sketch covers, different things like that. So it's been a real honor to be able to do all of those.
So coming up to 10 years then, Jeremy.
Yes, it is, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess for those who don't know, you've got a real I made mention of it before, but your style reminds me of the Italian era from like the 60s, 70s, 80s. Is that fair to say?
Yes, no, I think I'm very much a big fan of the sort of that Italian look, and all the different styles there, the different artists from even back from the 60s. I think it was a real sort of stylish look that they had that I really like a lot.
So was that something that's just naturally involved, or how does an Australian become such a from what it looks like from over here, a lover of Italian art from the 60s, 70s, and 80s?
I think one of the things was one of the art teachers I had, Peter Chapman. He had a lot of interest and he introduced me to a lot of art from the 60s. So a lot of things that he enjoyed, like Stan Drake, Cy Barry, a lot of things like that, because he was, of course, a artist for Frew
Yes.
back in the day, and he did occasionally draw the Phantom and also some of the other characters like the Shadow and Phantom Ranger, who people may know from the Giant Size comics.
Yeah. Now, well, that's awesome. Now, did I forgive me for asking this, and it's not on my questions or anything. But did he? Because I know he passed. I know he has passed. Did he get to see some of your work for Frew before then?
Yes, no, he did. He did. He actually mentioned me in an interview
Oh, nice.
after he won the Ledger of Honor awards, but he did see some of the covers and he gave me some feedback on them. So that was really good.
Yeah. Wow. That's just like having one of the things I love about the Phantom, and it's actually cropped up in a lot of these discussions, is the whole generational passing from, I know he's not your father, but from one generation to the next generation, and having a past generational Phantom artist passing it on to, onto you as well. I just love stories like that.
Yeah. No, he had lots of interesting stories about the old days of Frew and what happened to all of his artwork and things like that. Yeah.
Probably not the time to talk about it now, but I would love to hear some of those stories. We
Yes.
might maybe later on in the year we might have to do a bit of maybe a podcast or something about some information about Peter Chapman and some of the stories, and because a lot of listeners probably wouldn't really know much about him, so maybe that's something we can do later in the year, is get you to educate a lot of us, including myself, about Peter Chapman.
No, I think that'd be great.
Yeah. So just moving on a little bit, trying to get us back on topic, which anyone who listens to these podcasts will know we tend to stray a little bit, is I believe that you will be at the Frew's booth at Supanova this year. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, I'll be there. I think I'll be around both days. Probably mostly on the Sunday, but I will be there both full days, Saturday and Sunday, around the Frew booth and just around Supanova.
Awesome. So I'm assuming you'll be at the Frew booth doing a lot of signatures,
Yeah.
and stuff. But so people can come up to you, get some of their comics signed.
Absolutely.
Will you have anything else purchased? Any prints or original artwork or pre-done sketch covers or anything?
Yeah, I'll have some sketch covers. I've had a few commissions that people have asked me to do. I've done those, and I'll have a comics review cover at the dinner as a donation. So
Nice.
yeah, a few things like that, and I'll be part of the folio, the villains folio.
Yes, there's been a few at the time of recording. There's been a few sneak peeks. Antonio Lemos has shown his. Glenn Lumsden has shown his. Shane, no, not Shane Foley. Jason Paulos has shown his as well. You haven't shown yours yet. Any like teasers or anything?
Oh no, well, I haven't posted anything yet, but might be someone, maybe some sort of sorceress, maybe someone who might wear scarlet.
Awesome. Well, I hope that's a great tease for the listeners who are thinking about it. And of course, that folio set will be available to purchase from Frew. Generally, every folio piece by the individual artists. Do you know how many artists there are this year? I'm assuming anywhere between 6 to 10.
I think this is quite a big one. I don't know the
Okay.
exact number, but I do know it's going to be quite packed. So that should be good.
There you go. I think last year was 12 pieces, I think it might have been.
Yeah.
So there might even be more. So that's, and you'll probably spend anywhere between 100 to, I don't know, maybe 120, 130, maybe around that. If you look around that 100 mark, give or take, for 10 to 12 artists, big prints signed by all the creators and all the artists, that sounds like it's going to be a magnificent piece as well. So someone sorceress in scarlet. So I hope all the fans are rattling in their brain trying to figure that one out. I love that tease, Jeremy. I really do. And then if you can't do anything like that, make sure you get your comics, take them down for some signatures and stuff like that as well. Now, a couple of other questions, Jeremy, that I have is, you said you made mention you're coming to the dinner as well.
Yeah, that's
You've
right.
been coming to the dinner for quite a few years now.
Yeah, no, I always enjoy coming and seeing the auction, seeing everybody. It's always good fun. Yeah.
And you've got I believe it's the Christmas cover of your comics review that's been donated this year. Is that correct?
That's right. So it has the Phantom and Mandrake. So it's a Christmas scene.
Phantom
Yeah.
and Mandrake. That should get a few Lee Falk fans and crossover fans excited. So that's very generous of you, Jeremy. I know last year you also donated a comics review cover. I think it ended up going for it was over 500, and there was quite a few people bidding on it.
Yeah,
And
it did very well.
I know that because I was one of them. Chris had deeper pockets than me, so he ended up purchasing that one. And I know he was a very happy camper. So what do you like about these type of events, like with the dinner and Supanova and all that? What makes them special to you?
I think one thing I really enjoy is having them together because they can have a speaker. I really enjoy a lot of the speakers. I always enjoy the auction. That's always fun. But I found the speakers really good. I really enjoyed Daniel's talk last time. I think they've always been excellent. So that's probably something I really enjoy. And just the whole Supanova, having everyone there, having the booth, it's always a lot of fun. And I think it's nice just to see people, particularly the Sydney one, does seem to get a good representation. And it's nice that Frew is back with the booth. I think that's great.
Yeah, no, definitely. Do you go to many Supanovas around, like back at home in Brisbane and Queensland?
Yeah, I try and go to the Brisbane one. I might even try and go to the Gold Coast one. But I generally try and get to the Brisbane one and the Sydney one. And I have been to the Melbourne one as well, once or twice.
Nice. Now, we may mention that you live in Brisbane, but you're not you're not a banana bender by birth and by where you grew up and all that. Now, do you classify yourself as a Queenslander now, or are you still a New South Welshman?
Oh, I think probably both. Brisbane's a fine city, but I'm originally from New South Wales and spent most of my life there. So, I think I probably a shared citizenship.
Because I know, especially around this time of the year, there's a great rivalry between the two states with that oddly shaped ball. So I had to ask that question to see kind of like I'm not sure if you follow the game or anything like that. Where does your allegiance where does it sit at this time of the year?
Oh, I think possibly New South Wales, just because of. But I think I choose at the time. And I hope everyone has a good time.
Yeah, awesome. I had to ask that question. I'm sure that would be a question a few fans would want to know. Look, really appreciate your time, Jeremy. Always enjoy catching up with you. Look forward to seeing you again this year at Supanova, but also the dinner. I'm looking forward to catching up later in the year and talking about Peter Chapman as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jermaine.
No worries. From myself, Jeremy, thank you, and happy Phantoming.
Thank you, you too. Thanks, Jermaine.
G'day, I am here with Duncan. How are you, buddy?
Jermaine, I'm well. Thank you for having me on the podcast again.
No worries. I don't know which one to look at. If you're on YouTube, do I look at the mini-me or the tall one behind you?
We just watch to see whose lips moving. You won't see the Phantom's lips moving the whole time I'm talking.
Very good. That is very impressive. That is very impressive, that statue. Okay, so for those who have come in late, we can tell that you're a fan because no one would just have that in their room. So can you tell us a little bit of your previous history with the Phantom as a fan, but also in the last couple of years where you've stepped into the creator shoes?
So I have shared this story with you before, but and your listeners, but and only your encyclopedic knowledge of Chronicle Chamber podcast will be able to tell people which episodes they were in. But I started as when I was a kid on a long drive with Dad. I wouldn't shut up in the back seat of the car, so we pulled over at a general store, and the only comic there was the Phantom, and I didn't like the Phantom at the time, but by the end of that car trip, I was sold, and that fascination has continued since to the fact that we're sitting here with a Phantom statue behind me, and we're having this conversation this time of night. As many of your listeners and viewers would be aware, I was lucky enough that Sammy J included aspects of our relationship and our friendship in his show Hero Complex a few years ago, which enabled us to be standing in the offices of Frew. And Sammy actually recommended to Glenn Ford and Dudley Hogarth, that they consider one of the scripts that I'd written. And so when they said they would do that, I wrote a completely new script, not the spec scripts that I had, based on my perspective of the relationship between Sam and I, called that Hero Complex, and that was what was published after Jeff Weigel did the art for it. And so since then, I've been fortunate enough that fans have been gracious enough to permit me to continue creating things for Frew, and Frew's been nice enough to send it to King Features and have that work approved and partner me with some amazingly talented artists to be able to produce Phantom stories that are now part of my own collection.
Very good. And without getting into too much detail, because we want to try and keep this as short as possible, I believe you have some more stories in the pipeline. Is that correct?
There's quite a number of things that have been submitted to Frew and King Features. A reasonable proportion have been approved so far, and there is a chapter series that's coming out with shorter stories that are standalone stories, but they have an overarching narrative. That was started with Daniel Picciotto before he made the leap into Marvel, and are now being finalized by a different artist that I am waiting for Frew to announce so that I can share it with you.
Very good. It sounds all very exciting. So for when you say it's like a chapter series, for lack of a better term, you're talking about like Phantom Vietnam, where the stories are connected, so they're almost like standalone stories, but they're sort of connected in a larger arc. Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah, that's right. So you should be able to just read the short story and it should make sense if you're a first-time reader. But if you're following the storyline, there's a narrative that joins them all up.
Yeah, awesome. And that's awesome. No, that sounds good. All right. So one of the reasons we got you on here is because of your creator hat that you wear. And we believe that you'll be at the Frew booth this year at Sydney Supanova. Is that correct?
That's how I'm led to understand it too. So I was, again, through the graciousness of I think I just made a word up. That's not very good for writers. For the grace of the Frew crew, Glenn and Renee contacted me and asked me to be part of the booth for part of the day. So I think I'm viewing it like the people who fill the seats at the Oscars when the stars get up and go to the bathroom, so there's no empty seat as the camera pans past them. I think that's me. So as people like Antonio Lemos get up to do a panel or go and get some lunch, you might find me warming the seat for them.
But would that be something that you would like? Because then that way you actually get to, because you're a fan also, so you actually get to then, wander around and all that yourself.
Well, to have the freedom to enjoy Supanova with the rest of the fans is my ultimate goal for going. It's an honour and a privilege to be allowed on the other side of the desk. Renee's problem will be trying to control me, take the money out of my pocket on one side of the counter that he's paid me on the other side.
But no, anyway, that's awesome. So you'll be available for signatures for the Frew comics that you have that fans may have in their own collection, or I'm assuming if you'll be there signing and stuff, there'll be some comics you'll be able to buy from Frew and get your signature on it as well. Is that correct?
You know more than me, but I'm assuming that's
Now, it will be interesting to see how many Phantom Men comics you actually get to sign, because some of your stories have been published in Phantom Men. So now, if there is any collector out there who is maybe wanting a little point of difference, that is a good hint to get a Phantom Men comic signed by yourself.
It's a good suggestion.
Yeah, might quickly write that down and make sure I get one or two out for myself. So look, we've talked about how you're going to be a guest as a creator at the Supanova as well. But as we said before, you were a fan first. That was the first hat you've ever worn when it comes to the Phantom. So we're just going to change track a little bit and actually talk about you as a fan now, if you don't mind. So how many Supanovas and LFMBEC dinners have you been to?
I think the first Supanova might have been about 2016. So that's about 8 years now. I haven't been to all of them. I missed the Billy Zane one because I was overseas with work. And the LFMBEC dinners, I think I've been to since maybe about that same time. And it was because of this podcast that I, A, learned about them, and B, got connected with them.
Yes. I remember, I think it was Paul Ryan? Was that the first one, or was it Alex Soviet?
Yeah, I think it might have been Paul. Yeah, it would have been Paul Ryan because, that was the first dinner I went to.
Yeah, I just remember, I think I was looking at some artwork and it was like a solar eclipse happened, and it just became dark. And there's this big giant standing next to me, and he kind of looks at me and he goes in this deep voice, "Are you Jermaine Parker?" And I started packing myself. And then that's when you introduced yourself to me, and about how you were listening to the podcast and stuff like that. So that's how we actually met. Was during a very surreal moment of a solar eclipse.
I'm not sure I recall it exactly the same way, but that is the timing is right.
Hey, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So with the dinners and also the Sydnova event, the weekend and all that.
Yep.
Now, you don't live in Sydney. From what I understand, you live or spend most of your time in Melbourne. Now, I know you don't come to Sydney for the weather or for the city. So what makes the weekend so special for you?
Well, I've said this before, and I stand by it. The thing that draws me to Sydney for the Sydnova weekend, as you call it, and maintains my engagement in the Phantom fan community is the people. The character lends itself to people. The fans are a really good quality of people, and we see that with the creators in the Frew stable, like Paul Mason and Antonio Lemos, and Jamie Johnson and Matt Kyme, and all those people. They are fun and engaging and sincere people to spend time with. They are people who you are happy to have in your stable of friends, and the fans are the same way. So people like you and the Chronicle Chamber crew, the stalwart die-hard fans that have started the LFMBEC in Australia and sustained it. Amazing people, and the engagement with them is what keeps me coming back.
Very good. I've asked this question to a couple of others, and as you, the listener, as you're listening to this, you will hear their responses. It's very similar, is that it's all about the people. Like, you could, like what Frew sell at the booth, you can buy on their website later. There's artwork available elsewhere, but I think this is the reason why I spend thousands, you spend thousands, and a lot of other fans spend thousands each year to come, is because of the people and because of the relationships that you create. So it's very, very well spoken.
And for partners that are listening, it's why we spend $20 every year.
$20 on everything else that we buy, yeah. If I was to explain, like my wife always says, you need to make friends, you need to spend more time with others and stuff like that. This weekend is the time that, for a lot of people, especially for those who are introverts, where you can, not everyone collects the Phantom. Well, not everyone collects stuff and all that, and it's hard to be able to find something to relate to a lot of other people. But this one weekend is when you can do that. So that's how I explain it to my wife as well, and I think she actually gets it.
And I think that the Supanova and some of the other conventions in Australia and across the world, I think that's the environment that it creates. I think that's where the popularity comes from, is it allows people to be themselves.
Very true. Now, I got a couple more questions before I let you go. One is, do you have a memory or a story that you would like to share about the dinners, about the weekend, or anything like that that you get a chuckle from, or that you just love that interaction with a person, or how you met someone, or anything like that you would like to share with us?
I've got lots of stories like that, but the one that the one that's probably suitable depending on the demographic of your audience, and to try and promote people to, if they like me, don't know about the LFMBEC dinner, or they're curious or on the fence about are seeking to be a part of it in the future, is the way in which Antonio Didio conducts the auction at that event. It is worth the price of admission to see him work the room. And one of my favourites was in the dinner last year when he worked the crowd up to try and generate as much funds as he could for the Children's Hospital there at Westmead. And there was a particular item that the bidding had slowed down on. He did all this work to draw the bidding higher, and the person bid $1 extra. And it was when the item was going for over $1,000, and he just turned around with the most impassioned plea to the person and said, "You made me do all that work for $1." It's and Antonio is a master of the auction.
Yes, and as for someone who works in an auction company, that is not how you do auctions, but it is worth it because it is, as you said, it's worth the price of admission. And we've recorded some of those, put them on some past podcasts. We will try and do the same this year as well. One or two of the items, just so you can kind of get a glimpse of what the whole night is like. Now, I got one more question for you, Duncan, and that is, why haven't you created your Phantom Wiki profile page? If you go onto the Phantom Wiki page, Duncan Munro page does not exist.
I have no excuse for that. Maybe I haven't done enough work. Maybe ask me after.
Is that a question to ask the admins of the Phantom Wiki instead?
maybe it is. Now you got me. Now you got me curious about what might have been written about me now that you've suggested that.
Awesome. All right. Well, look, I really appreciate your time tonight. I hope the fans enjoyed listening to that, learned a little bit about Duncan. I hope he's kind of swayed you, giving you a bit of an insight of what the event is like, what he'll be doing as a creator. Get those comics out. Get Duncan, get the others to sign them. There will be plenty of other artists, so you get your commissions ready and everything like that. Duncan, enjoy chatting with you as always. Thank you for your time. From myself, happy Phantoming.
Happy Phantoming.
G'day, I am here with superfan Sean Bassett. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks, mate. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to see you as well. Now, we've people have listened to some creators talking about coming to Supanova and being guests and having their own booths and all that. We've decided to talk to a couple of fans and also kind of get their opinions from it. So this is why we have Sean. Now, Sean, how many Sydney Supanovas and LFMBEC dinners have you been to?
I reckon I've been to probably 4 or 5 Sydney Supanovas and a couple of dinners.
I think the first time I ever met you was I think it was the first time Frew had the Supanova booth.
Yeah, that's right. I came up for the day. I didn't stay for the dinner. I had enough frequent flyer points at the time to be able to come up for the day and go to basically the Frew booth, Supanova, and then fly back. But did that once or twice. Then the next couple of years in a row spent the time to be up for the dinner, which was brilliant. And then COVID hit and things have changed, unfortunately. Well, things changed then a couple of years.
Yeah. So you didn't go last year, and then you didn't. So you haven't been to the last 2 years.
I reckon, because there was one was cancelled because of COVID.
Yep.
Then the second year was back when Victoria was playing funny buggers and shutting borders every 5 seconds. And the night before we were meant to leave, they announced that Sydney was a red zone. So all of a sudden, all of the Victorian contingent didn't go. And then, last year I didn't make it either. So this is my first one in 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. Well, it'll be good to catch up and good to have you again and all that. So you've mentioned that you live in Melbourne, so you're not a local. Now, Why do you go and spend thousands every year to come? And I'm sure it's not because you think Sydney is a better place to live or visit than Melbourne.
Well, clearly not. I mean, apart from the fact that they've got the entire Australian cricket team as a prerequisite. Play for New South Wales first, but no, it's about the companionship, to be honest. All the stuff you can get, I think you've said it in some of your articles, all the stuff that's available at the Frew booth is available online as well as being there. It's really about catching up with fans and fellow fans and the friendships that you make very quickly when you spend time together. That, and yeah, you can catch up with creators, have a chat one-on-one. You can pick autographs and stuff up from them via Frew anywhere, but that opportunity to get sketch covers or, like I said, discuss things with them face-to-face is brilliant. But no, the number one thing for me is catching up with friends that I get to see once a year or once every 4 years with some of us.
Yeah, well, hopefully it won't be 4 years before we get to catch up again.
Hopefully not.
So, and so the companionship, creating friendships, maintaining, spending more time, that's the thing that you love most about this event.
That's what the weekend's about, mate. You catch up on a Friday night. There's normally only 10 or so of us, but still you get to catch up. You have a few swaps. I've got things that I owe to people that I've been hoarding for months, and I'm sure there's others exactly the same boat. Have a couple of drinks, something to eat. And then the Saturday out at Supanova, virtually all day at the booth or just walking around, catching up with people. Then lunch, which is always good, but what we normally get 20, 25, 30 to that. Then the actual dinner that night. So it's a pretty big weekend, to be honest. And I understand it doesn't happen all the time, but I think some people catch up again on Sunday night if they're not going out to Supanova again on Sunday. So it is really a big weekend of just that, catching up with everyone.
Yeah, I think for a lot of wives, it's like they realise that, okay, their husband does have a friend or two and they're allowed to catch up with them, and it's probably good for us.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, you've talked about the dinners and stuff like that. So what's something special that you find about the dinner? Like, is there something special that you find about it?
Look, you never know what you're going to get. Like I've already talked about the people you're going to catch up with. It's not just about that. There's auction items. I've seen some pretty sweet things, some pretty amazing things coming out of that. And you got the ongoing banter of the auctions, the live auctions that are carried on, and the bidding wars that occur. It's a different sort of vibe too, because you go from Supanova being a geek fest to suddenly it's not a black tie event, but it's a lot more formal. So you get people scrubbed up pretty nicely for that. It's a great experience. Everyone I talk to that's been loves it and can't wait to go back again. It's a pinnacle of fandom collecting in this country.
It is. It's a very good word. A lot of people use the word a pilgrimage, a mecca, a pinnacle. You're right. Now, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but do you have a memory or a story from the last couple, from any of the Supanova events, the lunches, the dinners, the catch-ups that you would like to share?
Look, there's clearly, it's happened a couple of times. It happened to me last year and wasn't there, but some people seem to bid on items that maybe aren't as desirable as some, even if they're not there, and they tend to bid and bid again. So I always find that interesting, the stitch ups that can occur, let alone the how do I word it?
But gaining up on some other people?
No, I prefer the how large is my wallet. I'll call it that. Games that occur in bidding for auction items.
Yeah, no, the auctions. And look, if you don't know what we're talking about, we have put up some videos and clips of past auction bidding walls, and we'll probably do it again for our review of the weekend and all that. But you're right, like there's people dropping thousands and thousands of dollars, and you're right, it's an ego trip.
Massive. But that's good. If all the money goes, and that's the best thing about the night, all the money goes to a brilliant cause, goes to the West Bay Children's Hospital. So if they want to go big, then it's going to one place, and that's to a charity. So that's great to see. Exactly.
So look, I appreciate your time. Is there any questions I might have missed, or anything you want to quickly jump in, or anything like that?
No, look, I just would, anyone who's on the fence about going, probably this year's a bit too late, but on the fence about going, then do yourself a favour, reach out. There's plenty of people that can hook you up with a contact to get there. But if you do it once in your lifetime, you'll love it.
Very well said. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
No worries, mate.
Happy fanning.
Happy fanning.
G'day, I am here with John. John, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Jermaine.
That's good. Now, for those who don't know, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been collecting for, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, well, I live in Rockhampton in central Queensland in Australia. Been seriously collecting the Phantom for close to 30 years now. Before that, I was a bit of a comic book fan back in the 70s, but read a lot of different sort of titles then, including sort of Commando comics and the Australian reprints of DC and Marvel, but also the Phantom. But I really got back into it in my early 20s when a mate of mine gave me a box of comics. So, and sort of haven't looked back since then. It's probably sort of, as you know, Jermaine, is way out of control, to be honest. But yeah.
Yes, you're right. It does get very much out of control. So with so I've got you on here to talk about the Supanovas and the Lee Falk Memorial Bengalas Explorer Club dinners. Now, how many of these dinners have you gone to, and when was your first one?
Oh, mate, to be honest, I probably lost count, but the first one was dinner 5, which was in November 2000, which was just after the Sydney Olympic Games, actually. So, yeah, it was really sort of sticks in my mind. Sydney was still sort of celebrating that, and yeah.
I think Sydney's still celebrating it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But so you've been to 5. How many you've been since dinner 5. How many do you think you've missed?
Oh, mate, well, I couldn't tell you, to be honest. Like in the early years, there was actually 3 dinners a year. It was It was very much more like a social sort of get together for fans. Where sort of it's changed a little bit over the years now. It's still a social get together for fans, but as you know, the auctions and the guest speak. Well, there's always been guest speakers too, but I guess the dynamics have changed a lot over that time. Previously, it was a lot more, I guess. Quieter sort of session, it was more smaller groups of people sort of thing, and you had the opportunity to sort of go and sit down and talk to everyone in the room, basically. Where now the night just goes like that sort of thing, and you miss out on speaking to half the people that you want to do. So, But,
and we only have the one a year as well.
Yeah, that's right. But I've tried since that time. I've tried to get to at least one dinner a year when they were still having it. So there wouldn't be too many I've missed out on, except for last year, but we won't go into that too much. But yeah.
Yeah, so you maybe around 10. So you've been to, what are we up to, about 30 odd? So you've been to probably 20 dinners.
Yeah, be close to that, yeah.
Yeah, wow. You are, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on, John, is because, I've been to maybe 10. A lot of the people that have been listening to this have probably only been to, probably in the last 5-10 years as well. And then I was hoping to kind of, get you on, learn a little bit about the history of the dinners, back before, as some will say, before the riffraff came along, and before, the numbers of kind of, we're looking at 50 to 60 plus people that come to each dinner. And like you said, you don't get to catch up with everyone, unfortunately.
Yeah, yep.
So, look, now you live in Queensland, which you said before, so you're not a local. So, you got to pay airfares, you got to pay hotel. Now, I believe you don't think Sydney is a better place than where you live. So you come here on your own, for a reason. And why do you spend thousands each year to go to a place like Sydney, which, you live in a better tropical, more warmer place than what Sydney is? Why do you do that every year?
Well, Richard used to move those dinners around a little bit. Like there was one in Canberra from memory, and there was one in the the Southern Highlands of New South Wales, might have been Barrel or something like that in the early days. But now that it's sort of aligned up with Supanova, I guess, there's no real alternative these days, to be honest. It makes sense. You've got guest speakers that come to Supanova and that sort of thing. So it all sort of works in together. But when I first went down, to be able to meet people like Jim Shepherd and that was a big thing in those days. And like you might remember Brian Shedden, who had deepwoods.org. Just to be those people that you'd been sort of talking to online for a number of years, sort of thing, and having the ability just to go down and to meet, your sort of friends, your online friends in person was probably one of the key things that made me want to do it initially. Plus the love of the character, of course. I can remember Frew's 50th anniversary dinner at Taronga Park Zoo. Like at that stage, no one sort of knew who I was coming from Queensland. But I remember seeing the photographs of the dinner and just as you find people or you have got the same enjoy the character the same as you do, sort of thing. So that was a driving factor, very much initially, was to be able to come down and meet people with the same passion, I guess.
And I'm assuming, when people like me come along, that just encourages that and keeps bringing you every year onwards.
True, mate, true. I mean, Chronicle Chamber in itself has been, as a whole new sort of thing too. Like I can remember the initial Chronicle Chamber meetup sort of thing, like it was, it was great to be able to meet those people, different group of fans, a younger group of fans, but definitely brought a different dynamic to the dinners and Supanova. And of course that's when I sort of say that we let the riffraff in. So
yeah, and and it's gone better ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true too. I mean, it is true. Like, I'm a Forkist and you know that, but having, I mean, we need younger people for the character to survive. So, I think it's very important, that we continue to try and attract those younger people. And I mean, we don't seem to be having too much luck these days, but like I've always said, it's particularly now in this year that Frew is 75 years old. Like that's just an amazing feat, really, for a comic book publisher in Australia to be going for 75 years. Like unbelievable, when the character itself is really, and it's only been the last few years really with more Australian writers and artists and stuff like that. But the first 50 years of Frew essentially was, you got it from the news agency or you got it from a book exchange. That's where you pick the comics up from. Like it's just, just very grateful that they've been able to maintain that for 75 years. And I don't think, even with the US publishers, I don't think, I think Frew's actually, that achievement hasn't been sort of overtaken by many publishers around the world, to be honest.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not a comics historian by any means. I'm sure there might be one or two. I think maybe Semic might be one, but there wouldn't be many that have been producing ongoing comics for that long.
Unbelievable achievement. Yeah.
And the number as well. It's not like it's just one comic a year. It's 20 to 30 odd comics a year. So definitely. So hopefully, hopefully Frew will release something nice and something cool for their 75th. That'll be nice. And never know, we might even see something at Sydney on their booth to purchase as well for their 75th birthday. So what's special? You've kind of touched on it before, but is there anything else special about the weekend for you? Apart from getting away from life and having a weekend away, is there anything else special about the weekend that you find?
Uh, mate, I guess, like I said, it's like the friendships that you make through the fandom. You know, like because of the dinners sort of thing. You know, I've sort of people like Bradley and Joy. You know, Paul Maloney, and yourself, like known them now for 20 years, sort of thing. Like it's just and those friendships. You know, are very important, I think, to me, especially, you know, like it's lifelong friends really from the thing, from because of the Phantom. I guess the other thing, you know, too, is you make those friendships with the creators, and the publishers, and you know, people like Glenn and Antonio Lemos. You know, it's just I guess I find that it's incredible as well that, you know, people that you sort of, you know, as a fan, you know, you sort of looked up to and those sorts of things, and you know, you're a fan of their work, sort of having, you know, being able to go and say good day to those people too, and having a good, you know, personal conversation is something that has always been. I don't know how you bit of like a fairy tale, really. You know, like you sort of you have the ability to talk to those people, to the creators that you know you've enjoyed their work for so long.
Definitely. Now you've been going to these dinners for a while. Do you have a memory or a story from one of the earlier dinners, maybe that you would like to share with us, just to leave us with?
Maybe the one where, you know, you wore shorts to that dinner. No, mate. I think I know what you're getting at, mate. I think it's a certain pub in Balmain sort of thing, or where the fire alarms went off at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, there's that one. That was I think that was the same weekend, actually.
Yeah, well, there's been it could be too, but yeah, mate. There's been a few, hasn't there? You know, the old curry on a Friday night, sort of coming back on the Saturday. So
yes, that one. Yeah, they had to quickly hop off the train on the way back from Supanova.
Yeah.
What about there was a certain pub I think you had a dinner at, and there was a band that was your special guest, or a singer?
Oh, mate, yeah, I missed that dinner. I think that was maybe dinner 4, was it? With Doc Neeson from the Angels. But mate, yeah, I've got a video from the night from and just I'm pretty upset I missed it, but incredible night that night. So I don't know if anyone's ever seen the video, or Doc actually wrote a song for the Phantom and sung it that night at the dinner. So, and just if you look at the video, or there's a recording also. It's just, yeah, the whole place went off. So, including you know the other rooms in the restaurant. So, yeah, but yeah, no, unfortunately I missed that night. So
I don't think I've ever heard that song, so I might have to try and get that recording off you, I reckon.
Yes, mate. Actually, I'll try and bring it to Sydney.
That sounds good, because that could be a nice little addition. I'm assuming it's probably on VHS, or have you got it digital?
I think I've got a digital copy somewhere. Yeah.
Oh wow! Well, yeah, we'll definitely have to get that. That sounds very cool, indeed. So yeah, and I guess, you know, you rattled off, you know, 3-4 stories there, which and that's what the weekend's all about. Is, you know, you pick up some awesome pieces, you do some trades with some friends, you create friends, but then you have these, you know, these stories, and sometimes you're at the butt of the joke, and, you know, with the dodgy curry on the Friday night, or wearing the shorts, forgetting you know, accidentally packing your wife's pants instead of your own pants. But yeah, you know, and that's what the weekend's all about. So hopefully you listeners have enjoyed some of those stories, and, you know, and one of the things that I like also is, you know, you and I are a different generation. There's some people that are younger than me, older than you as well. But when you are connecting and creating that relationship. Age isn't really a factor. You know, you can be talking to someone who's old enough to be your grandfather, and he's just, you know, he's a good friends, and you share, you know, you share a beer, you share a meal, and
yeah, no, definitely, mate. That's and that, I mean, all you know, I know the dinner these days is more directed towards auctions and fundraising, and that's always been the case. I mean, there's always been that fundraising for the Children's Hospital, but you know, the underlying thing for all of it is really, you know, the friendships and the camaraderie around the character, and I mean that's the most important thing for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, John. Really do. As I said, hopefully the listeners have enjoyed it as well, which I'm sure they have. Thank you for your time. Look forward to catching up with you in Sydney. And from myself, happy phantoming.
Happy phantoming.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And as usual, listeners, whether you're listening to us on your podcast app or via YouTube, you guys are awesome. We thank you for listening to us. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got a taste of what the pinnacle of phantom collecting for a lot of fans is. Fans call it the Mecca weekend, the pinnacle, the pilgrimage. Hopefully that what you've just listened to for the last half hour or so will help you understand a bit of that. If you have never come before, mark it in your calendar for next year and try and come at least once in your life, especially if you live in Australia. You can make the experience at least once. I challenge you to do that because you will not be disappointed. It will be a pinnacle in your phantom collection, in your phantom collecting experience. Now, we would love to hear your thoughts, feedbacks, and opinion. Let us know on social media. When we post this up on Facebook, let us know what you like, what you didn't like, why it was good to see this creator. Let us know on YouTube. Let us know if what we should have done, or whether there was a question we didn't ask. You know, let us know. We want to hear your feedback. Now, our website is chroniclechamber.com. You can contact us at chroniclechamber@gmail.com. If you want to find out more, go to our website. If you want to get in touch to be involved in some of these fan meetups, email us. Now, you can subscribe to us via YouTube or through your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes or Spotify. Now, I thank you for listening. I look forward to catching up with you if you are coming. Now, don't forget, give me the keyword. The keyword is going to be, I am a happy forkist. If you give me that keyword, you will be in the chance of getting one of 30 packs of stickers. Now, this is only, Patrons have already got them. This is only going to be for those who give us the keyword. Again, the keyword is, I am a happy forkist.
And upon the skull of the man who killed his
Happy
dad, he
phantom.
said, I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die. The Phantom, the ghost who walks. The Phantom, enemies beware. The Phantom's always there, but you won't find the Phantom. He finds